Hello everyone and welcome to my C Says You channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Grayson Chrisley gives confession, Savannah having kids. Grayson Chrisley has given a confession about Savannah Chrisley having kids. This is something he has thought about for his sister. However, what he had to say shocked everyone, including Savannah. The two are close after she had to raise him and Chloe. So he knows her probably more than anyone else right now. There is a lot to unfold and uncover. Keep reading to find out more about this situation. Savannah Chrisley raised kids, even though not hers. Savannah Chrisley did have children to raise. When Todd and Julie Chrisley were sent to prison, she took custody of her younger siblings, Grayson and Chloe. This was a big step for her as she had never raised kids before. However, she did a great job and everyone has applauded her for stepping up. This is something no child expects to have to do. However, Savannah stepped up in a lot of ways that are harder than people think. She did have a boyfriend during this time, Robert Shiver. However, the two ended their relationship and she has not spoken much about it since. Fans thought this may have been the one she could have settled down with. Grayson Chrisley gives shocking confession about her having kids. Grayson Chrisley has given a shocking confession about Savannah Chrisley having her own kids. He started off by saying he would not be shocked if she did not want kids after raising her siblings. He also thinks she is wondering how it would be to have kids that were actually hers, not her siblings. However, if she does have kids, this is how he thinks it will go down. Savannah loved his comment. However, Grayson told her that he has faith in her and obviously thinks she would be a good mother. It seems as though Grayson has two different sides that he could see. Either Savannah is going to be fine with not having kids because she had to raise her siblings, or she is going to have her own kids because it will be different. Regardless, Grayson thinks that she will get married and then have kids, but only because she is having kids. What do you think about this? Grayson Chrisley has never been the loudest of the Chrisley kids. He's the one who grew up on national television, navigating awkward teenage years while his older siblings, Savannah and Chase, captured most of the headlines. But as the Chrisley family continues to face ups, downs, and reinvention after Todd and Julie's imprisonment, Grayson is stepping into adulthood with a surprising confession, one that not only changes how fans see him, but also sparks new conversations about his sister Savannah's future and the possibility of children joining the family soon. Grayson's honest confession. For years, Grayson played the role of the quiet, observant younger brother. On Chrisley Knows Best, viewers watched him transition from a mischievous little boy into a tall, reserved teenager who often rolled his eyes at his parents' overprotectiveness. Now at 18, Grayson has begun to share more of his own perspective, and it's clear he's carrying a lot more weight than fans ever realized. In a candid podcast appearance alongside Savannah, Grayson recently opened up about how difficult the past few years have been for him. "People think because I'm young, I don't feel it all the same way," he admitted. "But I do. I had to grow up fast. I had to become an adult quicker than I wanted to." Grayson confessed that the spotlight and constant scrutiny weren't easy to manage, especially after his parents' sentencing. "I didn't want to talk about it before. I didn't want people knowing what I was thinking," he said, his voice steady but reflective. "But I'm finally at a point where I can say it hurt. It still hurts, and I've had to figure out who I am outside of being a Chrisley kid." Fans were struck by his vulnerability. The youngest Chrisley son, who once avoided speaking publicly, revealed he often bottled up his emotions because he didn't want to make things harder for Savannah, who suddenly became the legal guardian of both him and Chloe. Savannah had enough on her plate. "I didn't want to add more to it," he said. "So I just kept quiet. But keeping quiet can eat you alive." It was a confession that painted a fuller picture of the Chrisley family dynamic, one in which Savannah, despite her bubbly and confident exterior, was shouldering an enormous burden. Savannah's balancing act. Savannah Chrisley has always been ambitious, outspoken, and fiercely protective of her family. But no one could have predicted the way her life would change when she suddenly became a parental figure to her younger siblings. Overnight, she had to trade carefree 20-something adventures for structured schedules, tough conversations, and sacrifices most people her age don't shed new light on just how much Savannah's presence meant during that transition. "If it weren't for her, I don't know where I'd be right now," Grayson said firmly. "She kept me grounded when I wanted to give up." But Savannah's story doesn't end there. While she has embraced her role as caregiver and protector, she hasn't stopped dreaming about her own future, and that includes the possibility of having kids of her own. Savannah's baby talk. In a recent Q&A with fans, Savannah revealed that the question of children has been weighing heavily on her. "I love kids. I've always wanted a big family," she said. "But the truth is, with everything going on in my life, it's not as simple as people think." Still, Savannah admitted that her experiences with Grayson and Chloe have shifted her perspective. "Taking on responsibility for my siblings taught me more than I ever could have imagined," she shared. "It gave me confidence that one day, when the time is right, I'll be ready to be a mom." What caught fans by surprise, though, was her openness about potentially having children sooner rather than later. "Life is short, and I don't want to wait forever," Savannah confessed. "I want my kids to grow up knowing their grandparents, and I want them to be surrounded by love, even if that love comes in different forms." With her current relationship rumored to be growing more serious, speculation is buzzing. Could Savannah be considering motherhood in the near future? Grayson's reaction to Savannah having kids. During their podcast together, the conversation took a heartfelt turn when Savannah asked Grayson how he felt about the idea of her having children someday soon. His response surprised her and their fans. "Honestly, I think you'd be an amazing mom," Grayson said. "You already are one to me and Chloe in a lot of ways. You've done more than anyone expected you to. So if you decide to have kids, they're going to be lucky." Savannah teared up at his words, admitting she often worried about whether she was doing enough. But Grayson's confession not only reassured her, it seemed to give him peace as well. "I used to be scared of losing you to your own life," he said quietly. "But I realize now you're not leaving me behind. You're building something for all of us." That emotional exchange highlighted just how close the siblings have become. For Grayson, who once stayed quiet and bottled up his feelings, telling Savannah he was ready to see her step into motherhood was its own form of healing. What this means for the Chrisley legacy. The Chrisley family has always been defined by resilience. From business highs and financial lows to public scandals and private heartbreak, they've managed to survive together. Grayson's confession and Savannah's openness about kids represent the next chapter, one where honesty and hope go hand in hand. Fans now see Grayson not just as the quiet youngest son, but as a young man who has faced struggles head-on and is learning to use his voice. And they see Savannah not just as a reality star, but as a woman balancing responsibility, dreams, and the possibility of motherhood. The thought of Savannah having children brings a sense of renewal to the family's story. In a time when Todd and Julie's absence weighs heavily, the idea of new life, grandchildren who could carry on the Chrisley name, offers a ray of light. Closing thoughts. Grayson's confession was more than a moment of vulnerability. It was a declaration that he's no longer just a background character in his family's narrative. By opening up about his struggles, he's carving out his own identity, separate from the shadow of fame and controversy. And Savannah, while still figuring out her path, is proving that even in the most difficult circumstances, love and family come first. Whether or not she chooses to have children soon, she's already shown she has the heart, strength, and resilience of a mother. The Chrisleys may not look the same as they once did, but their story is far from over. With Grayson finding his voice and Savannah dreaming of the next generation, the family is writing a new chapter. one built on honesty, growth, and the promise of brighter days ahead.